the national champions NAIA last year. They won the tournament. They went 30-7, and they are the preseason #1 NAIA team in the country. We're going to pause for our national anthem. And the playing of the national anthem here at the Humphrey Coliseum. This is an exhibition game. It is a non-charged night for the folks who are coming in here for homecoming and certainly for watching basketball on this Friday evening. And let's take a look at Coach Kelly Wells, Pikeville University Bear Ball Club. He'll open on the front line with Andrew Young. He is a 6'8", 220-pound senior. Young's hometown is Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Shane Burrell will also be on that front line. He's 6'8", 250. He likewise is a senior out of Los Angeles, California. Trevor Setti, who was the national tournament most valuable player, a junior out of Maysville, Kentucky, a 6'8", 190-pounder who averaged in double figures last year and was averaged 21 points and 10 rebounds in the 5 games of the national tournament. He's had 13 of the opening ball game. They've played Union, by the way. And then the backcourt has Chris McHenry playing at one of the guards. He is a young man who is a veteran player, McHenry, at one of the guards that just turned the lights out on us here at the Coliseum. McHenry will try to pick up a couple of notes of information. He's out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. He transferred from Miami of Ohio, but he will draw the start at one of the guards. And the other guard who will open the ball game is Jamar Board, who is out of Capitol Heights, Maryland. He's a transfer from Mountain State College, which is in West Virginia, and he rounds out the starting 5. So got some size on the front line, and Young at 6'8", and Durrell at 6'8", and then Setti, who is a small forward, also 6'8", 5'11", and 6'1", McHenry and Jamar Board in the backcourt. For Mississippi State, they will start on the front line with Renardo Sidney out of Jackson, Mississippi. He's a 5'10", 285-pound junior. He averaged 14.5 points per ball game last year. Arnett Moultrie, the transfer who set last year, he transferred from UTEP. He's 6'11", 249, a junior, and he averaged 9.8 points, right at 10 points and 7 rebounds were his numbers as a sophomore when he started all 33 ball games at the University of Texas, El Paso. Small forward is Rodney Hood out of Meridian, Mississippi, a 6'8", 200-pound freshman who gets his second exhibition play. He had 6 points and 3 rebounds in the first exhibition game against Florida Tech. And then the backcourt of Brian Bryant out of Albany, Georgia, junior college transfer, 6'3", 168 senior, who averaged right at 5 points a ball game last year, but has, Bart mentioned, a 21-point outing on the opening exhibition play against Florida Tech. And D. Boss, the veteran player out of Concord, North Carolina. He had 10 points. He had 6 assists in the opening ball game. He averaged 15 points a ball game and right at 6 assists per ball game. He had a very productive 14 ball games he missed to start the year, but he played all of the SEC ball games and into the tournament. And D. Boss back at the start of the season. That's one of the pluses for this ball club. D. Bost is on the floor to start the year this year.
Oh, he really is. Lost 14 games to start last year. You get better continuity with D. Bost. This U-Pike team, Jim, Pikeville, the number 1 ranked team right now in NAIA basketball. They won the national championship last year. They went 30-7. They won 5 in a row in the tournament. They got hot at the right time. You talked about SETI. He's a guy that can step out. He hit 7 of 12 threes in the championship game last year. So he's that swing guy. He's 6'8". It's kind of a matchup problem. So you got to make sure you get out and defend him well. They fell behind 16-0 to Louisville in the exhibition. They have played a regular season game. They beat Union College 99-54. But after they got down 16-0 to Louisville, they really settled in. They made it an 8-point game with 7 minutes to go in the first half.
Ended up being, I think, an 11-point game at halftime, and they got never could get closer than 11 in the second half, but lost it by 19. Tip of the basketball controlled by Mississippi State as the Bulldogs will put it on the floor against a half-court defense. And look at that zone defense is going to be played from the start by U-Pike. On the left side, Boss gave it down in the corner. Moultrie fires across court in that corner, and stepping on the out-of-bounds line was Rodney Hood, and a turnover immediately to Mississippi State.
Well, that's one of the things we saw against Florida Tech. They set up in a 2-3 zone, and Mississippi State went inside to Renardo Sidney, tried to skip the pass across the floor, and Rodney standing on the sideline.
Up the floor with the basketball in his hand comes Chris McHenry. He's the 5'11 senior guard. Picked up on a man-to-man play by D. Bost. He drives it off the left side, and Bost just took it out of his hands. Bost comes back the other way in a hurry to Bryant, drives the lane, puts it up, and gets fouled in the process as he took it down the left side of the lane. And the foul is called, and that'll be a shooting opportunity, I would think. It looked as if they called it inside on Burrell.
It was Burrell, and Bryant had an opportunity going down the left side. He had Moultrie coming down the right, but decided to go up and try to draw the foul. And Bryant at the free throw line, pretty good free throw shooter last year.
Yeah, Bryant last year shot it at 70%. Well, he's got 2 shots coming. And it's hard off the back of the iron. And the one thing you would like to see, this ball club was a decent free-throwing team last year. They shot a little better than 70% off the free throw line, which is pretty good. Anytime you get past 70, I would like to at least be that or better this year. Bryant makes the second. So it's a 1-0 ball game early, and the Bulldogs put in some full court pressure quickly up the floor. That's SETI on the drive, pulls it up and fires and scored. And in transition, SETI with a nice jump shot for 2, and the Bulldogs will come back against some three-quarter court pressure this time, but they break it with a pass to Hood up in the offensive end. So now they'll set the play against the zone. On the left side, Hood exchanges with Bost out top to Bryant. Bryant looks towards the inside to Sidney, kicks in the corner to Hood. Hood puts it on the floor, right back to Bryant. They're working the perimeter of that zone. Would like to get it down inside where they have Moultrie. He is working on outside the lane, got the feed, put it up, and rolled off the iron. Pretty good job of defense. Moultrie had the shot. Rebound pulled down by SETI. Quickly up the floor, they get it to Young on the baseline for a jumper that's in and good.
Well, good job by Pikeville. They quickly got it up the floor, got the easy bucket.
Bulldogs running the other way, and there goes Bryant. On the move, Bryant slams it on the other end of the Bulldogs with good transition.
That's what you're going to see a lot of this year, trying to get the ball in transition. This team's going to try to play it a lot faster this season.
Tried to trap in the corner, but it was broken by Pikeville. We have almost 2 minutes gone. U-Pike up by a score of 4-3 over Mississippi State. Bryant picking up on the outside against the guard board. Now to McHenry, down in the corner. Young has the basketball, being guarded out there by Moultrie. Kick it back to Board. Long 3, the lefty on the way, and good from long range.
Well, Bryant had a hand in the face. Not a whole lot you can do about that. 25'3" from the right wing.
Bryant gives it to Boss. Cross court to Hood. Rodney gives it right back to D on top, off of the right side to Bryant. At the high post to Moultrie. Kicks it to the wing. Hood goes up with a long jumper. In and good. 3-pointer, Rodney Hood.
Well, that's how you break down the 2-3 zone. You get it to the free throw line. Nice kick out, and Hood buries a 3 from the left wing.
It is a 7-6 lead. U-Pike on top. On the move is McHenry. Drives to the baseline. Put it up. Had it knocked away partially by Moultrie. Ball, though, is recovered. And now here comes SETI driving. Kicks it back, and a shot by McHenry is up and out, no good. Rebound on the offside. Nice job by Bryant. Long throw up the floor off the hands of Rodney Hood outside the lane on the left, and it's intercepted by U-Pike. And SETI comes right back the other way. Basketball activity here on the Humphrey Coliseum, 7-6. Pikeville leading early in the ballgame. Out front, McHenry on the high post to Burrell. He's going to fire an 18-footer, and he is bottoming it out. That is a beautiful job of just taking a shot what's open on that elbow to the right.
Big man, crossover dribble, step back at the 17-footer.
Down inside, Sidney off the glass and good. Bulldogs got it deep. You can't get it if you're playing defense. Let Sidney get that deep. He just nicely handled it and put it in. It's a 1-point game again. 9-8, Pikeville leading. Bounce to the high post. Another shot by Burrell. Another good one, about a step beyond the free throw line.
Well, when you got a center can step out to 17 feet, Sidney just didn't come get him. Now it's a 3-point game.
11-8 score in the ball game. On the outside, Hood kicks it back to Bost. Look at that zone. Bryant exchanging with Bost, looking down inside for Moultrie. Now kicks it and tried to send a bounce pass in there to Sidney, and somebody reached in and committed a foul as down to the inside. It may have been Burrell again, and that'll be his second foul.
Try to squeeze a little bounce pass in there. Seti was right there. Forced that pass a little bit, but Burrell gets his second foul. Bulldogs will play it to the right of the bucket, trailing by 3, 16-13 to go in the first half.
Cordero Ellis has come in to replace Burrell, but the Bulldogs throw the pass away. On the run, long three, put up and good on the move by Jamar Board, his second three of the ball game. And it's all of a sudden a 6-point lead for Pikeville. Outside, Bulldogs look at the zone. Now they're really chasing Bost right now. Coming out and picking up. And get it off to Bryant, down to the corner to Hood. Lob it inside to Sidney. Sidney turns and makes it up on the iron. Laid it up soft, but it wouldn't go, and it came off. Down the floor comes Pikeville. Again to Board. Out deep, long three. This time he has airballed it, and Moultrie went after it and may have touched it as it went over the end line.
Well, Burrell came over the back, it looked like, and he came through, and Moultrie wasn't ready for it. Just went right off the end of his fingertips. That's the thing about Pikeville. This is a team that can shoot the threes. They've come out and shot it well here early on. From 3-point range, they're 2 out of 4, and they're 6 of 9 from the floor here early on.
Yeah, certainly has been a good start for Pikeville. This ball club, as we mentioned, played Louisville extremely well, but we're down 16-0, as you talked about earlier, before they finally scored a point about 7 minutes deep in the ball game. Got to within 6, actually, somewhere around the 7 or 8 minute mark left to go in the half, and then went down by 11 at halftime. And the second half was a fairly even ball game for a while. They finally pushed it out to a 19-point win at 74-55. But they look like they could be a handful tonight.
Oh, they really could. And the thing we've done, we've gotten it inside to Moultrie, we've got it into Sidney. We've missed some chippies down low, but you can see right now what we're trying to do, trying to get the ball down inside. We've had nice looks, and that's the good thing. This is a team started out a little bit slow last week against Florida Tech, and the second half came along, began to knock down some shots, loosened up that zone. If you make some outside shots, loosen everything up, then it really becomes easy for Sidney and Moultrie on the inside. But, hey, you got to give credit right now. I mean, this Pikeville team, you know where Pikeville, Kentucky is? It's on the most eastern county in Kentucky. It's about a 2.5-hour drive east of Lexington. It's about an hour and 45 minutes due south of Huntington, West Virginia. Right there in the little corner. They're about 30 miles away from the Virginia state line, 30 miles away from the West Virginia state line in the eastern hills of Kentucky. Speaking of eastern hills of Kentucky, we'll play Eastern Kentucky here on Monday night. That's the season opener.
Yeah, it's a small school, only 1,164 students. The town, though, is a nice-sized town. 41,000 plus. So, but it's going to be an interesting night so far, as the Bulldogs are going to be challenged, at least here in the early part of the ball game. Down by 6, and Pikeville will have the inbound underneath their own bucket, throw it out near the midcourt line as Bost picks up McHenry, who took that long feed and now begins to set a play against the Bulldogs' man-to-man defense. Looks at Seti come around a pick and try to get to the wing, but goes the other way instead to Board. Board had it knocked free, but got it back. Hood guarding him. Down to the corner now to Ellis, Cordero Ellis, who is in the ball game. Back to Seti. Seti on the wing. Seti pulls it up, only 6 on the shot clock, fires and misses. Rebound is fought for, grabbed though, and it will be a second chance for Pikeville. The ball bounced in the right direction. Back to Board on the wing. Driving, spinning, going up with a shot. It's in and out. No good, but he was fouled on the arm, and I think it was Jalen Steele who was checked into the ball game, who was on his arm.
And he did a great job of defense all the way to the very end. He stayed in front. He didn't go for the hip fake, but he swiped at the very end. He got him on the arm, and Jalen Steele, fresh into the ball game, picks up his first foul.
And Board, who has a pair of threes, gets a pair of free throw opportunities and could push a lead all the way to 8 if he is successful. First one rolls out.
Jim, the positive you see from Steele so many times with ACL tears, the lateral movement. is really lacking coming out of that ACL surgery. He's a guy that's moved his feet well, especially against Florida Tech. And he moved his feet well that time, just got the swipe of the arm.
Missed them both, and the rebound kicked out high and grabbed by Hood. Wendell Lewis has come in and replaced Renardo Sidney. Bulldogs throw it down to the baseline to Steele, out deep for a long three, up and good, but I think he stepped on the out-of-bounds line down in the corner, so that will not count as Hood had buried another three.
Well, deep off the right wing, tried the diagonal pass into the corner. Let him a little bit too much. He was standing on the baseline and Steele tried to save it in, but just couldn't do so successfully.
Out front setting, picked up by Hood. Puts a bounce pass to Burrell just outside the lane on the left, comes back to his right, bounces it off, trying to hit board and threw it away, and that's a turnover. And Pikeville's been pretty crisp, but that time they made a poor pass.
Just a poor pass. It laid it down on the floor and passed a little bit too low. Came down ankle high. That bounce pass, you wanted to come up waist high, went ankle high.
On the side, Steele, picked up by Board. Takes a looked at a pick from Lewis, couldn't use it. Now back out top to Hood. Hood puts it on the floor, picked up by Seti. He's at long range, starts to drive, kicks. Steele is open, long three is there. Well, he did a nice job with the ball in the hands of Hood. He made that play for Steele.
Drove it into 17 feet, it created the kick out, and it was an easy three for Steele from the left wing.
Outside, McHenry on the left against Bost. Up top to Seti. Drives to the free throw line, into the lane. Floater up on the way, no good. Rebound is pulled out of there by Lewis, and he is fouled by Seti, who went after the basketball.
And that's where you see the athleticism right now. You know, Wendell Lewis, the first 2 years, he kind of trying to figure out his game. And he's a guy right now, as we said, he's worked hard in the weight room. He quickly got up in the air. I mean, it didn't take him long at all to get the rebound. Now, all of a sudden, it's a three-point game, 6 minutes deep. Bulldogs get the three. It's a 14-11 Pikeville lead.
14-11. It's been as much as a 6. It was 14 to 8. Bulldogs were down by 6. Now they're down by 3. And front line has Lewis and Moultrie, and playing really with the 3 guards in the ball game now, with Bryant replacing back into the ball game, replacing Rodney Hood. On the side of Steele. Steele drives to the right baseline, can't get in, goes back out deep to Bost at the free throw line to Moultrie, down underneath to Lewis, went up for the shot and got fouled, and will go to the free throw line. And that's not the place that he really has excelled since he's been at Mississippi State. I think that was Cadaro Ellis who picked up that foul, and Lewis will shoot the free throws.
Well, the thing you like about Moultrie, that's the second time tonight he's risen up around the free throw line and found a cutter.
Free throw, no good, almost went in. Only a 41% free thrower last year, Wendell Lewis. But he would like to improve those numbers and needs to, because he's a guy who can go aggressively to the goal and will get fouled some. But he missed them both. So the Bulldogs have hit only 1 of 4. They're down by 3, 14-11. Pikeville leads, 13.5 to go in the first half. McHenry on the move, fires to the free throw line. Ellis kicks it back to McHenry. Well, goes out, Bost dogging him, looking to set a play. Starting to move down to the top of the key off on the right wing, and the ball is dropped and lost, as into the ball game was Chris Watson, couldn't handle it. Mississippi State coming the other way with Bost. Out front to Bryant. He's open for a 3. Fires and misses. Rebound is going to be put back in. Kept alive by Lewis. Stuffed into the goal by Moultrie.
Well, Lewis quickly got up. He went for the jam, but he left it off the front iron. But Moultrie with the white shirts all around the bucket. Mississippi State gets it to a 1-point game.
14-13 Pikeville. A little better than 8 minutes gone. McHenry driving to his left. Pulls it up against Steele. Gives it down to the corner. And a jump out of the corner is on the way and out, no good. Rebound pulled down on the offside by Mississippi State. As Bryant got it off the board, up quickly to Bost. He's going to pull it up and miss. Rebound is going to be pulled out of there by Pikeville. Watson got it off the boards. Up the floor, open on the wing, and a shot on the way, and it is in and out, no good by Darren Stewart, who has checked into the ball game. And again, the Bulldogs rebound. Down to Steele in the right corner. A fast-paced game inside to Moultrie. Moultrie kicks, and Lewis is open for a 16-footer, no good. Rebound to the offside is Ellis, and that's not the shot that Wendell wants. On the right side, spinning is Board, taking it all the way to the hole, and he gets away maybe with a little extra step, but he lays it in and good.
Well, they call that a walk in the NBA, Jim. He started out on the right wing and spun around, but nice play to finish. It's a 3-point game again.
Under the 12-minute mark and back to a 3-point lead, 16-13 Pikeville. Bulldogs and the Bears are going to make some changes, and Bost is open on the wing and fires and misses. Offside rebound, Moultrie saved it, but it's grabbed out of there by McHenry. Long down the floor, and he threw it away, trying to get the ball to Watson, who was breaking for the goal. That'll take us to a break with 11:36 left to go in the first half. 16-13, Pikeville leading Mississippi State. We're going to take a timeout. We'll pause for a minute. This is Mississippi State basketball on Maroon to the Max. Welcome back to Mississippi State basketball on Maroon to the Max as the Bulldogs are trailing by 3, 16-13 to Pikeville with 11:36 left to go in the first half. Exhibition basketball here in the Humphrey Coliseum. Bart Gregory, it's a big weekend. It's homecoming weekend. We've had the homecoming parade. We've had a pep rally. And tomorrow, we got a big football game, homecoming football game with the UT March.
Hey, UT March, pretty good football team.
Yep.
They're really playing well out of the FCS, old Division I AA. They're a team offensively. They're good. Defensively, play. I mean, this is just a team that really can present you some problems. Stat-wise right now, Bulldogs are 5 of 11 from the floor, 45%, 7 of 14 for Pikeville overall. State's hit 2 of 4 behind the three-point line. Pikeville's 2 of 7. Rebounding-wise, Pikeville out-rebounding Mississippi State 9-6.
That's a stat that Coach Rick Stansberry, now in his 14th year as the Bulldogs head coach, won't be pleased with. He likes defense and rebounding. Always been proud of the way his ball club has rebounded. Last couple of years, maybe not quite as they had in the past, trying to trap out of that zone, and we get a foul called down on the side right in front of the Pikeville bench, and it was a young man by the name of Josh Whitaker who just checked into the ball game who committed that foul. We've also brought Cayenne Hines into the ballgame. They're playing at the guards right now. Young back with Burrell and Steady on the front line. They're in a 2-3 zone on the right side to Steele. Back out front to Hood. Hood to Bryant. Get it in to Sidney. Gave it underneath to Wendell Lewis, who finished it off with a slam.
And that's the first time we've really attacked the 2-3. You got to have crisp passes. And Sidney did a great job of coming free throw line that time, and it opened up for Wendell Lewis coming down the baseline. 1
point game again. Burrell on top against Sidney. Sidney keeps a hand in his face, so he picks up the dribble and drops it back, and it's taken away by Steele as he tried to bounce it out of there. Steele coming up the right-hand side, cut off. Back out to Bryant. Bryant starts to move, pulls it up. 14-footer on the iron, won't go. Sidney battling. So in gets it, and he and Wendell Lewis were fighting over it, and Sidney pulled it away and scored it.
Well, we had the white shirts around it again, and Renardo Sidney. It's kind of a bull in a china shop down there. He came up with a loose ball, stuck it in. First time we've led in a while, 17-16, 10:35 to go in the first half.
There are times when a big body comes in play well, and that time it did for Renardo Sidney, who has 4 points in the ball game. Mississippi State now with a 17-16 lead. 10.5 minutes left to go here in the first half of basketball and exhibition play. We mentioned the fact, Bart, Eastern Kentucky on Monday night at 7 o'clock, the real thing, part of the basketball tournament we play that will end up in Madison Square Garden. Eastern will be a very worthy opponent.
Oh, they really will. Kind of an unconventional style with their offense. They're a team that runs a two-guard lineup. And what do you mean by a two-guard lineup? A lot of motion, a lot of screening. It's not like Princeton. They don't run as many back cuts. They run a lot of chin cuts. They cut down the same side as ball side, but they'll run a lot of 1-3-1 zone, which always gives you trouble.
McHenry got loose around a pick, drives it to the hole, and scores it. So McHenry used a pick on the wing and took it to the hole and scored it, and back on top Pikeville. They're up 18-17. Out front, Wendell Lewis hands it back to Bryant. Brian Bryant out of Albany, Georgia, young man who played his junior college basketball down in Florida, out on the wing to Hood. Hood starts to penetrate, stops at the free throw line, fires a jumper in and good. Boy, nice job of manufacturing that time.
Well, he took his defender down to the left elbow and just took a step back and it really froze the defender, went up, made the shot, and that's the thing Hood can do, that medium-range jump shot.
Scoreboard's wrong, and we get a timeout called and a foul on Brian Bryant.
Should be 19-18.
Yeah, that's what it should be. Somebody put the board is wrong, and I suppose they will get that.
I see Greg Ellis over there. He'll get everything straightened out. Yeah, we do.
Now we got it right. 19-18, Bulldogs up by a point. Brian Bryant has picked up the foul. We'll check the lineup. Bryant stays in the ball game. And onto the floor for the first time is Chris Puckett, 5'11 senior guard for the Bears of Pikeville. Inbound to McHenry. McHenry around a double pick out front. Can't use it. Gives it back to Burrell, who starts to move. Kicks it back to Puckett on the wing. Throws it down to the baseline and had it tapped over the end line off of Mississippi State. And should be played beneath the bucket by the U-Pike Bears. U-Pike's pretty cool name, I think.
Oh, it really is. Pikeville College, but they go by U-Pike.
Now they're going to send Chris Watson to the bench and bring Andrew Young back into the ballgame. Set a pick up high, break out of that, go to the wing to Seti. Seti drives, takes it in front and puts it up and good over Rodney Hood. A nice determined play by Seti.
And pretty good defense by Hood. He kept the arm straight up, he kept going, giving ground. And Seti just tried to get into his body and try to get the and one, but nice job by Rodney of not giving up the foul.
Bulldogs drive the baseline, lay it up, and a charge on Bryant as he got the bucket but got it negated by the charge. Bost threw it out of a double team down to the baseline to Bryant, who found an opening on the lane, or on the sideline, on the baseline. He went from corner to bucket, but knocked down a defender in the process, and we get the charge called against Brian Bryant, who picked up a couple of quick fouls there. And now the Bulldogs extend their defense. And they ease it back a bit. McHenry brings it up against Bost. Both wear the number 3. Around the picks, but Bost does a good job of staying with him. Now down to the baseline, got an open Young for a jump shot. Good job of setting a pick in the middle and getting a wide open Young down to the baseline. And we get a bump on the dribble up floor as Bost was being guarded by Puckett.
Jimmy, go back to the previous offensive play. You got the charge circle now around the goal, and the defender was just outside of that charge circle. If you're inside of that charge circle, it's painted down on the floor, it can only be a defensive foul. There is no such thing as a charge when you get inside of there. But the defender just outside of there, and that's one of the new rules in college basketball this season.
Moultrie got double teamed, so he kicks it back now down inside to Sidney. Nice feed from Bryant to Sidney, and he lays it off the glass in there. And the Bulldogs continue to fight their way in this ball game, but they're down by a point. It's 21 Bulldogs and 22 Bears right now. 1 point lead for Pikeville. On the side, that was Puckett. Out front to Burrell. Had it slapped away by Sidney. A dive on the floor. The ball is loosed and bodies all over the place, and a timeout is called as Burrell reclaimed it. It was good to see Sidney go after a loose basketball.
Well, I tell you what, that's the thing Sidney has done, and you could see it early in this game. He really is playing a lot more aggressively, both offensively and defensively.
So we go to break with a score. Pikeville 22, Mississippi State 21, 8:23 left to go in the first period of the first half of this basketball game. Tomorrow, let's see, what will it be? It will be 4:30. Is that when you guys go?
4:30 pregame, a 6:30 start. Of course, we'll have the fifth quarter show from the veranda. We'll be talking all night long.
Yep, that's what happens on a football afternoon. I know a lot of people will be out in the tailgate all afternoon, and it's going to be a lovely day tomorrow. I think around 70 degrees, sunshine. Not like it was today. A little chilly.
A little cool today, but have a decent crowd tomorrow night. Well, rarely do you play a homecoming game at night. You play a 6:30 game tomorrow night. Get everything ready. Well, Bulldogs, a big win on the road last Saturday on the road to Kentucky in football. So I just try to keep everything going in the positive direction. You got Alabama coming in next weekend. Of course, we'll know that game time on Sunday. It was a 6-day option for the game time.
Inbound by Pikeville, and Sidney over the back of Burrell as they tried to throw it outside the lane. And Sidney will pick up his first foul of the basketball game. Bulldogs have, 14 fouls and 6 on Pikeville thus far. Ball will be played into Seti on the corner. Long three on the iron, won't go. Rebound on the offside, Moultrie. Moultrie, that's what he's going to do so well. Just go up and claim that rebound. Up the floor comes Bost in a hurry, pulls it up. Little floater on the way outside the lane of the right, and Bost gets his first points of the night.